You do something to move on, but you don't know how to align yourself with the situation. So you go through that battle. That battle, you might be able to build an empire, a business, something for you. You look inside, you feel empty. A lot of people are like that because they thought that they're going to be happy when they build that empire, but they have to start with happiness. We go through a lot of stress and anxiety to build a business. It takes a toll on our body. We get sick. Still, a lot of time from our loved ones to spend on our business. We lose our connection with our loved ones. Our relationship, our health, and happiness is affected. I call that inner stagnation. On the outside, we might be perfect. Everybody's admiring us. We have all the fame, all the wealth, but on the inside, we are not that kind of person we wanted to be. Those are the three types of stagnation. How can we get out of that situation?
Today we have an incredible guest, Farzin Mazinani, a holistic wellness practitioner who is passionate about helping others transform their lives. Farzin is an experienced coach, mentor, healer, author, and speaker with a deep understanding of human emotions and the mind. His unique approach blends joyfulness with powerful emotional healing and transformation techniques to help people liberate their full potential and break free from what holds them back. As a certified emotion code and belief clearing practitioner, Farzin has guided countless individuals in overcoming emotional blocks and limiting beliefs. He has even developed his healing modality called Joyful Fix Quantum Healing. His mission is to help people tap into their inner joy, overcome challenges, and create a life filled with purpose and fulfillment. Farzin, it's an absolute pleasure to have you with us today. Welcome to the Transcendent Minds podcast.
Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
First of all, thank you very much for sending me a copy of your book. I was reflecting on the work and I was looking at the ancient concept of the five elements of wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, because each one represents a vital force, a unique energy that guides balance and transformation. In many ways, your journey of helping others tap into their inner joy and break free from limitations feels like navigating these elements, helping people grow like wood, igniting passion like fire, grounding themselves like earth, refining their strength like metal, and flowing through life's challenges like water. How do these elements resonate with your approach to wellness and transformation? Do you see these forces playing a role in your process of guiding clients towards joy and fulfillment?
Yes, it does. As you mentioned, we can use nature as a representation of us. We are part of nature. The elements we see in nature have something to do with us. For example, water. You mentioned when we are flowing like a water, we see a barrier and we're not going to try to smash that barrier. We go around it. When you are living as flowing water, that is what happens to you. Another example, we don't try to swim upstream. That's a lot of work and we get tired. But in our approach to moving forward in life, sometimes you feel that type of stagnation. You feel you are moving on a hamster wheel. You are moving on a circle which has no ends. A lot of us don't like that kind of representation. We want something more. We know we are more than that. Looking at our life back and see no achievement, just repetition. We go to work, come back home, go to work and come back home. All of a sudden, the life is gone. We don't like that. So some of us are looking at life at a larger scale. We go through the path of moving out of that comfort zone. We are ready to gain some experience. We know that pain is something we need to grow. Like someone who goes to the gym, lift those weights. It is helping them to grow the muscle. If we go to the gym, don't feel any pain, it means that we didn't do anything. In order to grow, we go through pain and we change the label of the pain as a bad thing to something that we need. One is suffering and one is pain. I'm going to explain that later, the difference between suffering, misery, and pain. But for now, let's focus that we want to go out of that comfort zone. So we go out, and as we go out, we are facing some challenges. Why? Because it is not the beaten path, it is not the comfortable place that we were before. So we have to face some challenges. Some say that in order to go through those challenges, you have to go through the path of hustle and grind. So there are two elements. They say that there's no choice. Getting out of your comfort zone, you have to face that hustle and grind. And what happens? I'm battling with myself. The other aspect is the subconscious mind. I'm battling with my subconscious mind, which is a million times stronger than me. And I'm moving out of my comfort zone, and I might be able to win that battle, but I lose the war. Why? Because I am in the process of changing the direction of a train. Let's say a train is going south and I go north. I'm still in the train, moving towards north, walking in the train towards north. Where do I end up? South, of course, because the train is going south. That is the battle with our subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is like a train going towards a specific direction, and I'm trying to push it to another direction. It's not easy. Even if we make progress in that direction, it comes with a price. A lot of people go through the path of success. They might be at the top, but it has consequences, health consequences, relationship consequences. They lose their happiness. So there are a lot of things. So what I believe is if we be able to align those elements within us, we can go through the path of expansion and progress with joy and ease instead of hustle and grind. That's the matter of expanding our consciousness and bringing some other elements that might not be existing in our life. And one of them is love. When you have the passion, it's like a magnetic force. You move along the way with all the barriers and stuff, but you are in the state of bliss instead of suffering and struggling. So you are in a different state. We can use those elements in our benefit. We can learn from them. Have the passion like a fire, and it starts to burn us from inside out. That is the experience I had. When I was 24 years old, the dilemma was I couldn't find the things that I was looking for. So what was the things that I was looking for? From age 12, I started my quest to find who am I? What I'm doing here? What is the purpose of life? Somehow I wasn't happy. On the outside, everything was fine. But somehow I was missing my childhood. When you are a child, you are in a playground, you're playing and you're enjoying life. You're going to the rides, the slide and swing and playing with other kids. You're taken care of. Your family is providing everything for you. Then you grow up and you go to school. The scenario changes. Now you have to sit down. You have to listen to the teacher. You have to do the homework. You go to the yard, you are pushed by other students. You're separate from your mother. All those things build up, then you build a guard for yourself. You conclude that life is not my friend anymore. It is my enemy. I have to protect myself. So you build that wall of protection, and then you're not connected anymore. So I was missing my childhood. That was the start of things for me at age 12. It took me 12 years after going through all the books that I could get my hand on, all the paths, everything. I couldn't find the answer to those basic questions about life. And I was so frustrated. I didn't know what to do. I decided to do something radical, basically. I know Buddha had the same dilemma. He came out of the castle and noticed a person who is dead, and there's a person who is old, a sick person, and he said that I haven't seen those kind of things in a castle. So life is different outside. He started going through different places, different paths. And after years and years, he couldn't find the things that he was looking for. So he sat by that tree and said that I'm not going to get up until I am illuminated and finding those answers. Then he became Buddha. So I knew the story, and I was frustrated enough to try something like that. I went to my uncle and said, you have a big house. And in the basement, you have a room, and it's the best setting for me because it has no windows, but there is a washroom inside. I'm gonna go occupy that room. He said, for how long? I said, I don't know, maybe 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, or I never come out of that room. He said, are you crazy? I said, yes. I'm a mixture of crazy and frustrated. He was open minded. He let me do that. But before, he said, you're not only crazy, you're stupid as well. I said, why? He said, you're going to go inside and die from hunger. And then you're not going to reach the state that you want to reach. So I said, he is right. He is a wise man. I went to the market and bought 5 kilos of raisins. He said, it's going to help me to survive for a while. I went inside, closed the door, turned the light off, facing myself, my emotions, my thoughts. And after a while, you don't know if it's day or night or what is happening outside. It's absolute darkness, absolute silence. For a lot of people in the world, that is the most severe torture. When we go to prison, when they want to punish us more, they send us to solitary confinement. So that was a voluntarily solitary confinement that I was experiencing. But I was ready for that because I was so frustrated. I wanted to find those answers. I went in, closed the door, sitting in the darkness. I tried different techniques that I knew. I had more than 1,000 books in my personal library. I started trying one after another. I couldn't get the results. I had my own tests so I could see how much progress I've made. I went through a lot of ups and downs. Nothing happened. After a while, I gave up. I said, nothing's going to help me. So I gave up. I'm sitting in the silence, and all of a sudden I felt a sense of warmth. My heart started to warm up and spread the heat into my cells. I felt all my cells are burning from inside, and it was boiling, boiling. On the outside, I was sweating badly, shaking. Then an experience came. It is hard to describe that experience, but I give you a metaphor. If you grab an ice cube and go to the ocean, you drop that ice cube into the ocean. It floats on the water. It's still an ice cube, and the ocean is the ocean. After a while, that ice cube starts to melt. When the last piece of ice cube is melted, it's not ice cube anymore. It's all ocean. That was my experience. I started boiling, melting from inside. All of a sudden, I didn't feel any separation between myself and everything and everybody else. It was all is one and one is all. Everything is connected. I'm the ocean. When you are in that state, all the wisdom is there. Your answers to your questions are there. I knew who I am. I knew what my role is in this world and what the source of joy is. I came out of that experience. I didn't need to stay there anymore. It was close to 5 days. I came out with a couple of realizations. First, there's a difference between happiness and joy. Happiness depends upon outer circumstance. You need somebody or something to create an environment so you feel happy. But joy is coming from inside. Joy is what we carry in our heart. If we be able to get access to the joy that we have in our heart, it doesn't matter what situation you're in. You always have access to that joy. So there's a difference between joy and happiness. And I found out that there is a difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge was what I was looking for in the books. I found the wisdom. It was inside me, in my heart. That is the source of all knowledge. We get to the source, not just a reflection of the source. I found there is a difference between pain and suffering. Pain is part of the growth. But suffering is different. Suffering comes from our mind. We have something called prefrontal cortex that differentiates us from animals. So we analyze everything, we mentalize everything, we compare everything. We use it for creating a lot of things, but sometimes we use it in the wrong place. We might be the only species in the world who gets punished 1,000,000 times for something wrong. Why? Who punishes us? Ourselves. We do something, we make a mistake. After that, we just start putting the pressure on ourselves, blaming ourselves, shaming ourselves. We punish ourselves 1,000,000 times for something we have done years and years ago. We use that prefrontal cortex for that. So that is the wrong place to use it. it leads to suffering. Suffering is an unnecessary thing we create for ourselves. Pain is a different story. Pain is part of growth. Like a snake who grows and the skin doesn't fit anymore. It has to shed the skin to be able to move on. There's a difference between pain and suffering. The other thing I found was, who am I? I'm not my physical body. A lot of people fight over their skin color, gender, race. They kill each other for those kind of things. But the fact is that I'm not my physical body. If I cut my hand and put it in front of me, I'm not going to be a different person. I'm still me. So I'm something beyond my physical body. My emotions, if I change my mood, I have to be a different person. But I'm still the same person. So when I say I'm angry, it's not a true statement. I can say I am carrying the energy of anger because I cannot associate myself with that anger. I'm not my emotions. I'm not my thoughts. If I shut down my brain and don't think about anything, in that moment I shouldn't exist, but I know I'm still existing. So what is that element that is existing all the time and watching all those? It is higher consciousness. Some people call it soul, some people call it consciousness. It doesn't matter what you call it, but it is not physical, emotional, and mental. It is beyond those layers. When you find that, you realize that all the things that cause those kind of problems that we have is coming from those layers, physical, emotional, or mental. It's either a physical illness or something in our body, or it's emotional, you are stressed, or it's mental. All those layers are create those kind of things. But when you know that you are beyond those layers, you get access to the power to heal those layers. But we have to move out of those layers. While we are in the jungle, we cannot see the jungle. We just see the trees. But when we get out of the jungle, we can see there is a jungle. So we have to come out of our shell to see those layers. Then we can use the power of love, heal those layers.
In terms of the birth of Joyful Fix, I imagine some of these things led to pivotal moments and its unique approach to joyful quantum transformation. Can you tell us more about those pivotal moments that led to the creation of Joyful Fix? And how is your unique approach of Joyful Fix quantum transformation? What makes it stand out?
Sure. So let's go back to the time that I injured my back at work. Years ago, I had an injury at work. I tried to lift something and I went to the freeze mode. My back froze. I lost my job and I went to therapy. I was better a bit, but I carried that pain. It was chronic for 15 years. Almost every week I had to go to therapy. I couldn't move my head to the sides. They had to do something about it. Nobody could give me the cure because nothing was showing up in the MRIs. The specialists couldn't point their finger to say this muscle is pulled or there is a problem we can fix. Nobody could help me. For 15 years, I had that dilemma. And one day, a friend of mine said, maybe I can help you. She said, I'm going to give you a couple of phone calls. So she called me, and during those phone calls, she released the trapped emotions I was carrying at the time of accident. I didn't have any idea about trapped emotions at the time. She explained that trapped emotions are sometimes unprocessed emotions. We feel something and then it doesn't get out of our mind. So we get angry driving, somebody cut us off in the traffic and we get mad, we start swearing. Then we go home and talk to our family members about the crazy drivers. We go to the parties and discuss about different type of drivers that they cannot drive, who gave them their license or something like that. We mentalize things. So it becomes an unprocessed emotion. And our subconscious mind says, I'm going to store that in the body because we're not processing that for now. What is the meaning of processing? Closing the gap, closing the loop. Sometimes we feel something and then after a while, we go back to the state that we were before. Sometimes things get stuck. And if it gets stuck more than 90 seconds, it means we're going to be carrying it for a while. It becomes a trap emotion. So what is trap emotions? Unprocessed emotions. So she released those trapped emotions that I had at the time of accident. You feel you cannot provide for the family, you're losing your job, you fear, anxiety, stress. A lot of things can happen in those experiences. That was causing the pain. When she released those, I was fine. And it never came back. And I was amazed. And she said that you have the talent to do the same thing for other people as well. So I went under training with Dr. Bradley Nelson and I became an emotion code practitioner. And she did something else too. She dismantled my heart wall. What is heart wall? Heart is a very sensitive thing. Sometimes we hear about heartbreak and we feel that it is a word that people use, but it is real because a scientist in Japan found that there are lines on our heart, the same lines that we get on our bone when we have a cracked bone. We go to the x-ray, they see that line, hairline on the bone, they say it is cracked. We get the same lines on our heart, and it's different for different people. Some people have them, some people don't. Those are the marks of the broken heart. There is a medical term called broken heart syndrome. The symptoms are exactly like the heart attack. I feel pain in my chest, shortage of breath. I go to the emergency. They say, this is a heart attack. Rush to the hospital. I go to the hospital. They examine. They say it is not a heart attack. It is broken heart syndrome. The exact same symptoms. Our heart is sensitive. We have to protect it. Based on HeartMath Institute research, for every message that goes from the brain to the heart, 9 messages go from the heart to the brain. So you can tell who is the boss in our body. It's not our brain, it's our heart. We have to protect it. Sometimes we go through the experiences in life, emotional or physical, losing a loved one. It creates a hole in our heart. Sometimes we go through breakups. We live with somebody for a long time and we go through all the pain. We have to protect our heart. We cannot do much, but our subconscious mind does something. It creates a shelter around our heart. What is that shelter? Everybody on average is carrying more than 200 or 300 of those trapped emotions in their body. Our subconscious mind grabs those as the building material and creates a shelter around our heart. Now, our heart is a little bit protected. Imagine that we are in a war and the planes come and start shedding bombs. We go to the shelter. We lose our communication with outside world. 10 years has passed from the war. We are still living in that shelter. So the same thing happens. We have a heart wall. Things have changed, but we are still in a self-made prison in society because we cannot communicate with our heart, which is the source of joy, wisdom, all those good things. We don't have access. That answered my question. After that experience, I came out of that room. I was wondering, why is it so hard for people to get access to gold mine they have inside? So that was the reason. The heart wall was the answer. So I started dismantling heart wall for others as well, seeing the transformation in people. It is the most joyous experience. You can see somebody just bloom in front of your eyes. The life changed. I was busy with those kind of things. About a year and a half ago, something happened. I decided to go skiing with my son and my brother. We went to the hills. I was coming down the steep hill. I came down and there was a flat surface after. So I was on that flat surface, moving slowly and nobody was around me. And all of a sudden, I fell down. It's unusual for me to fall down like this after more than 40 years of skiing. I fell down. And then I tried to get up. I felt I'm not feeling my left arm. Something is wrong. So I went to the emergency. They took x-rays. Nothing showed up. They did the MRI. And the surgeon says, you broke your scapula, which is a big bone in your left shoulder. He said that bone is covered with all those muscles. It's a very large bone. He said, I've only seen this kind of fracture in car accidents because the impact should be so high that be able to break that bone. How did you manage to break it? I said, I was moving slowly and nobody was around. I fell down. I don't know what happened. When something like that happens, which is unusual, I had to discover. I couldn't use my left arm and I was in a lot of pain. Every slight movement made me cry from pain. They gave me a lot of painkillers, the strongest painkillers they could find. They said, you have to deal with it for 6 months. We cannot do much. It has to be healed by itself. So I was in a lot of pain, and I said that I cannot use my left arm. What about using my right arm? What about starting that unfinished project? I always wanted to write a book, but I never had a chance with busy life. So I said that this is the best time. I'm going to start writing the book. Something magical happened. I went to the basement, started writing, and I noticed that I'm writing and writing for 12 hours, 14 hours, without any hunger, without any tiredness, and without any pain. I didn't need to take the painkillers. That was the definition of being in the zone, being in the flow state. I knew about it mentally. I knew all about those stories of people, but I never had the direct experience. That gave me the chance to experience the flow state. So I finished my book in a couple of weeks, sent the manuscripts to the publisher. They said that we cannot publish it with that much writing. You have to cut it down. The process of editing took much longer than writing the book. And it was quite an experience for me.
It's amazing how events in life may seem turbulent, but as you explained, it's a gift. It's the candy in the wrapper. It depends on our mindset because we can either view that as something that derails us. We can go into victim consciousness and woe is me and the big violin solo, or we can look at that as an observer and say, what is the message in this? What is propelling and organizing me to do? You found yourself writing The Joyful Fix. Now, you are an emotion code certified practitioner, and with your method, the Joyful Fix Quantum Transformation, can you walk us through how you help people remove emotional and mental blocks?
There is a scientific process for that, because we are all connected in the quantum field. And we use some medical magnets and some equipment to remove baggages we are carrying. When I'm connected with somebody, even from the long distance, because of the connection that we have, when I remove that thing on myself, it is removed from the other person. We remove those blockages we carry. So what is a trap emotion? Trap emotion is like a sandbag in a hot air balloon. As we are removing those, our vibrational signature move up a level. And then we can see like a balloon that goes up and we can see more. That is important. Our perspective is limited. So we see different things. For example, I go out with my wife. We are walking on the sidewalk, and I noticed a bag of garbage in front of the neighbor's house. And I start thinking that they are careless, they don't respect others. My wife doesn't notice that garbage. She is involved with the colors on the trees, the birds were singing, and the nice breeze. That bag of garbage exists for me, but it doesn't exist for her. So whatever we pay attention to, that is what we have in life. When we have those filters, let's say I have the filter of grief. I had the grief experience and it got stuck in me. I'm carrying that emotion of grief. So it's like a filter. The dark shade that I'm wearing inside, I don't see the brightness outside. Because of that filter, it limits our view. When I release those trapped emotions by the standard process, what happens is people start to elevate their consciousness because those kind of bags have a specific vibration. Grief has a vibration. When I have the emotion of grief in my body, it is lower than the natural vibration I have. So it brings me down. And because it has a vibration, it attracts the same vibrations. I am attracted to the things that boil up the grief. So I get grief again somewhere else in my body. It accumulates, and we all carry those kind of things. So that is the trap emotion. What about limiting beliefs? Limiting beliefs are like the blinders they use on horses on the race. When you go to the race horsing, they put those blinders around the eyes of the horse. Why? Because if in a split second that horse is distracted, they lose the race. They have to see whatever is in front of their eyes. So our beliefs are like that. It creates those blinders. We cannot see outside of that. But when we remove those blinders, we see that there are some other paths we can take. So the choices come for people, but I like them to expand in consciousness as well. It is not enough if I just remove those blockages for them. That is what comes joyful fix quantum transformation, because in the quantum field, different versions of us are existing. All we have to do is to move to a different version. Have you noticed sometimes somebody is having a problem with addiction? For example, addiction to cigarettes. It is hard to get out of addiction. Some people say that you have to do it gradually, you have to use those patches. They might use it and come back. But I've seen a lot of people smoking cigarettes for years, 40 years. And then at one moment, maybe it was a health issue. The doctor said you are harming your lungs and you're not going to survive. Maybe this just a realization. They decide to do something. They say, I'm not going to smoke cigarette anymore. I've seen a lot of those people in one split second. They become a different person. We all have that capacity. When we remove those blockages, it helps us to build up some momentum. One moment we go through that quantum jump. Quantum jump is a very interesting subject because the electrons are moving from one layer to another layer, and nobody in the world has been able to capture that movement. When the electron moves from one layer to another layer, nobody could see the moment in between. One moment it is in this layer, and the other moment it is on that layer. There's no in between. It is just this or that. And we all have that capacity. It doesn't move. But at one moment, we are able to do that quantum jump. Sometimes we have to prepare ourselves, shed some blockages, take them out that is not useful, and then it comes to the moment that we become a different person. And all the old past is gone. The electron is moving from one layer to another. When we open our consciousness, we see things differently. We see things from a different angle. When you change your definition, you change your life. Sometimes we have some definitions. For example, for success, we say that success is reaching our goal. A lot of people say that. But with that definition, we're going to be miserable most of our life. Why? Because most of our life, we are not on top of the podium. But if we change the definition, we say that success means moving towards a worthy goal, then we can be successful most of our life. As long as we are moving towards a worthy goal, we consider ourselves successful. Sometimes it's just a matter of changing the definition. For life, you can say that life is hostile. With that definition, you get the hostile side of life. But when you say that life is friendly, then everything starts to shift. Sometimes it's a matter of changing definition.
In terms of transformational techniques, from overcoming fear to embracing the present moment, your book covers a whole range of transformative techniques. Is there a particular one that you find impactful? And if you do, why?
Let's open our view towards fear. A lot of people say fear is holding us back when we want to do something. That is the fear of change, fear of failure, fear of success. Even fear of success is even greater than the fear of failure. Why? Because we are not in that situation yet. So we have fear what's going to happen when we are in that situation. A lot of people win lotteries. It changes their life. After a couple of years, they file bankruptcy. Statistics says that a lot of people are like that. Why? Because they gain that kind of wealth. It changed their life. Now they're missing the old habits and friendships and people they have around. So what they do is their subconscious mind go through the self-sabotage process. They do something stupid, they lose all the money to be able to go back to the level that they were before with their old friends, because we are not ready yet. Our self-image is not matching with the wealth that we receive all of a sudden. So fear of success can be even stronger than fear of failure. And fear of change is the source of all those. Why? Because we have a mechanism in our body, our mind protecting us for survival. Every change in our life can be a threat. Why? Imagine that somebody famous hires a bodyguard. They go to another country, they take the bodyguard with themselves. They're in the hotel and they decide that I'm gonna go do shopping in a market. And the bodyguard says, no, it's dangerous. If you go there, you don't know what's gonna happen to you. Stay in the hotel. No worry, I go to the market and bring whatever you want. Every conscious change we want to go through comes with resistance from our mind. The mind is trying to protect us, to keep us to the same loop for survival. So what was the bag of tricks that the mind has? Fear of change, fear of failure, fear of success. Those are fears, stress, and anxiety. Sometimes we get sick. You want to do something substantial in your life, but you get sick. Why? Our subconscious mind has tried to do different tricks, so you don't care, and then it makes you sick to not to be able to move on towards your goal. And sometimes sickness comes like this because you're expanding. There's the source of fear. Subconscious mind is preventing us from expansion. When we know that, what happens? When we expand our consciousness, we know we want to do something, and we go through those fears of success, fears of failure. It is the natural part of growing. But our mindset is shifted from something bad. We can have a friendly conversation with our subconscious mind. We can thank the subconscious mind for trying to protect us, because that is the original duty of the subconscious mind. We can say, no worries, buddy. I'm just going to go through this process. I'm going to take full responsibility. You can take some off time. I don't need you for a while, but whenever I need you, I just call you back because I know you are trying to protect me. But no worries, for this specific case, I'm going to take the responsibility and move on. You are looking at things from a different perspective. Sometimes you try to battle the fear, battle pain. It gets stronger. When you battle the fear, gets stronger because you're giving energy to that. The first step is to recognize. The second step is to integrate, accept. Then it comes to the third step. You can let that go. You have to go step by step. If I reject things, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to get that. When you hate something, it happens to you all the time. Whatever we hate, whatever we fear, we get it all the time. 5 of us are moving. We were outside and all of a sudden a dog comes unleashed. One of us might be fearful, have had that kind of fear from dogs. And then the dog comes right at that person who has the fear. We absorb the fear. We absorb the subject that we fear, absorb the subject that we hate. So it doesn't make any sense if we just reject it because it makes it stronger. We have to accept it first, and then we can let it go.
One thing about your book is there's some practical elements to it. One of the things I liked about it is there was an invitation to engage in self reflection. The questions you provided for self reflection found quite powerful. One of the chapters I very much enjoyed was about stagnation. Can you elaborate more on how stagnation manifests and how these questions can serve as tools for self reflection?
Sure. Based on what I wrote in the book, there are 3 types of stagnation. Static stagnation is basically freeze mode. When we have fight or flight or freeze, when we are facing something that is bigger than us, we have a challenge. So we go to the jungle and the bear shows up. All the energy goes to our feet and our arms to escape, to fight. That's called fight or flight mechanism. There's another element, which is the freeze mode. Sometimes we don't move. We get to the freeze mode to be able to protect ourselves. That happens a lot. We are facing some dilemma in our life, which is bigger than whatever we can handle, then we don't even want to get out of bed. Sometimes we have a lot of tasks to do, but we go and sleep. We don't do anything about it. That is the freeze mode. So that is a static stagnation. We all experience that. It can trigger by anything, any change in our life. We lose our job or something happens and we feel a lot of pressure. So we go through static stagnation. But we come out gradually from static stagnation. The second type of stagnation is dynamic stagnation. Dynamic stagnation means that we are moving on a circle. We go through life do the things that society says. We go through education, through corporate job. We have a stable job. We go to work and come back, do the things that we do at home, do the things that we do at work. We look back, our life is gone, no achievements, no excitement, waste of life. That is dynamic stagnation. We are in the situation, we are comfortable, but nothing comes out of it. The third type of stagnation is inner stagnation. Inner stagnation means that you decide to get out of that loop. You do something to move on, but you don't know how to align yourself with the situation. So you go through that battle. That battle, you might be able to build an empire, a business, something for you. You look inside, you feel empty. A lot of people are like that because they thought that they're going to be happy when they build that empire, but they have to start with happiness. We go through a lot of stress and anxiety to build a business. It takes a toll on our body. We get sick. Still a lot of time from our loved ones to spend on our business. We lose our connection with our loved ones. Our relationship, our health and happiness is affected. I call that inner stagnation. On the outside, we might be perfect. Everybody's admiring us. We have all the fame, all the wealth. But on the inside, we are not that kind of person we wanted to be. Those are the three types of stagnation. How can we get out of that situation? One is expanding our consciousness, seeing things from a different perspective. Why? Because when we expand our consciousness, instead of battling with our subconscious mind, we can bring our subconscious mind along on our journey and start enjoying the ride. The other thing that has to come along is our heart. If we don't have our heart into it, it is just a mental goal that society has created as a value for us. Our heart is not into it. We're not going to go far with it. The fourth element is inspired action, not just any action. The action that fires you up, you enjoy doing, not something that I have to do. When I say I have to do this, I have to do that, creates resistance. But when I say I choose to do this, I choose to do that, it creates a different kind of vibration. Those four elements, our conscious decisions, our subconscious mind, our heart, and our inspired actions. When they are aligned, we move along on a journey towards expansion and joy with ease. That is the message. Sometimes we feel it is good when you say that, but how can you do that in actual life? A short technique, which is part of my book. In the last chapter, I have a 10-step process, but I'm going to summarize it in 3 steps so people can remember that easily. So what is that 3-step? 3-step starts from knowing that whatever you want to build, you cannot close your eyes and open your eyes and the building is just in front of you. It has to go through a process. For a building, the foundation, walls, roof, inside walls, and the heating, cooling, plumbing, electrical systems, there are a lot of things that has to be working at the same time to be able to build a building. Same goes for whatever you have. The desire, the heartful desire you have. You want to do something. You find that first, and then you break it down into smaller pieces. And every piece is a piece that is getting you closer to whatever goal you have. So those are tasks you need to do, needle moving tasks. But because they are called tasks, it automatically creates resistance. Nobody likes to do tasks. It creates resistance. Your subconscious mind comes along and doesn't let you move because it is hard. The technique that I described in my book is changing labels from task to game. What happens when we name something from task to game? We all enjoy playing games. It is embedded within us. We can change the name from task to game. We come up with a list of little games we can play that help us to achieve our goal. 3 steps starts from there. The first step is game plan. Before we go to sleep, we think about all the failures, all the misery, all the things that we are worried about tomorrow, what's going to happen, those kind of things. Our subconscious mind's guard is wide open because we are in the alpha state. Our subconscious mind is open and we're putting all those misery, pain, and suffering into it. We wake up in the morning tired. We haven't done anything yet, but we're tired.
because we just programmed our subconscious mind with those. Instead, we're going to change it. Let's say before we go to sleep, we do the game plan. We think about those little games we want to play. You pick a couple of them. You say, tomorrow I'm going to play this game, and then you sleep on it. You wake up in the morning, get up and start the day and whatever we do, grab the cell phone, check the news, negativity and stuff. Instead of that, when you wake up, the second part of the process kicks in, which is warm up. Before we even open our eyes, we can play that kind of mental rehearsal in our mind. Imagine that we are playing during the day, enjoying our game, and everything is going good. And at the end, we achieve whatever we wanted to achieve, and we feel that achievement. The feeling is important. Before we even get out of bed, before we even open our eyes, we did that mental rehearsal. That is the second time that we programmed our subconscious mind towards wherever we want to go. Subconscious mind is coming along with us. Now, during the day, we play the game. So that is the third step. So game plan, warm up, play. 3 steps. And then you just play and play. Then you see yourself at your target. You enjoyed the ride. Everybody says that we have to enjoy the journey of success. Nobody tells you how. I'm telling you how. It is the simple process. You bring your subconscious mind along with those little things that you do, and you enjoy the ride. You gamify your life. Instead of going through life with all those ups and downs, you look at them as a roller coaster. You go to the amusement park, you jump on a roller coaster, it goes up and down, and you are enjoying. So that can be our perspective towards life. When you gamify your life, that every moment, it doesn't matter you're going up or down, you're enjoying the ride.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that technique. As we wrap up, are there any final words of encouragement or advice for listeners who may be eager to unleash their true potential and live a more joyful life?
When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. It's all about our perspective. When you know you are carrying that light within you, which is in your heart, it means there might be layers, but you can bring those layers down with this simple technique. Whatever happens to your life that you don't like, you don't feel like having that kind of experience. First, you ask yourself, who am I? That triggers a couple of things. You answer, I'm not my physical body. I'm not my emotions. I'm not my thought. So you're dropping those 3 layers. It brings up the consciousness that you are. When you are in that elevated consciousness, you can have the power to look at things from a different perspective. It's very simple. Whatever happens, say, who am I? I'm not my physical body. I'm not my emotion. I'm not my thoughts. I'm beyond all those elements. I'm eternal. I'm full of love, full of joy. I can heal those kind of things, the layers. Those layers are like a white shirt I wear. I go outside, there are stains on my shirt. I have the power to wash that shirt. We are carrying those trapped emotions. We are carrying those mental capacity or thoughts or beliefs or patterns in our life as those stains. Carrying those misalignments in our physical body as those stains, but we have the capacity to wash them out with love. When we ask that question, it triggers who we really are.
Thank you, Farzin. And if people want to learn more about your work, where can they find you?
My website is joyfulfix.com. On the contact page of the website, I created the free quiz that people can take. It covers 4 aspects of life: health, wealth, relationship, and happiness, because those are whatever is on the screen of life. When we see something, the problem we have is usually those 4 categories. Those are like the 4 tires of a car. It doesn't make sense to drive with a flat tire, so we have to do something about it. Otherwise, we cannot move far. So those 4 elements, we have to know which one is working good and which one needs some attention. When you take that quiz, the 20 questions, it gives you a score. It is called life quality self-assessment. It gives you the score for your life quality. When you have that score, you can record your voice on the contact page of my website, or you can contact me through email. And then we go through wherever you want to go and the blockages you have. I give you the roadmap. You can take that yourself, or I can help you out with creating an environment and very effective and fast way you can reach the improvements you're looking for. It's a very straightforward process for people. I encourage everybody to take that quiz because it gives you two elements. One is the flat tire and one is the strong point. We have to know that because with the strong point, let's say my relationship is the highest score because every part has a score of 25. Let's say that my relationship has a high score. It means I can help people with that capacity. It gives me the clue where I can focus on. The lowest score is important too, because it is dragging the other ones down. I have to do something about it. I encourage people to take that quiz and see where they are standing in life. It gives them clarity.
As we come to the end of this episode, I want to take a moment, Farzin, to express my deepest gratitude to you. Your insights and willingness to share have made this conversation special. Thank you for generously giving your time and expertise to enrich our listeners' lives. And I'm certain our audience has benefited greatly from your wisdom. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to support the show. Your engagement helps us to reach more people and continue bringing you quality content. A few ways you can help is to like and subscribe to the channel. It's a simple action that goes a long way in boosting our visibility and the visibility of this episode. Share it with friends, share it on your social media, or direct with people you think may benefit. Please leave a review because your honest feedback helps others discover the podcast and guides us to improve. Engage in the comments. Let us know your thoughts on the episode. Your comments spark great discussions and gives us ideas for future content. Farzin, thank you very much once again.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be able to discuss those kind of things and share my experiences, and enjoyed our conversation.